Shalom. This is Abik back with another edification. I want to discuss a topic, but I want to give a special thanks to all 174 of my subscribers. I see that I've gained some followers. I want to wish all my subscribers, I wish that all of you are in high health and high spirits, and I hope that you and your loved ones are safe and taking the proper precautions against these agendas that are waged against us here behind enemy lines in America. There's a topic that I want to talk about that I do not want to continue to talk about as far as going into depth about it on YouTube because of the algorithm and how it will kind of mess up my channel if I discuss this topic in depth the way I really want to. And I don't really promote any other platforms to hold content on. But I want to discuss this real quick. And I'm going to start off with Isaiah 10 and 1 and 3 because we're going to be discussing a little bit about Title 4D child support. So these agencies in America, in Babylon, that are actively engaging in different forms of extortion with the baby fathers, okay? Splitting up families. I'm just generally speaking. And what this is about is child support is fraud, okay? So, and the agencies know that. And of course, the so-called Edomites, the whites, are profiting off of this. But this is Isaiah 10 and 1, and I'm going to get into what I'm saying because I want to put my phone in airplane mode before I start this little short edification. So this is Isaiah 10 and 1. It says, "Woe unto them that decree unrighteous decrees," as far as the Edomites having these fraudulent contracts via these agencies, destroying the relationships between children and their parent, right? Mainly talking about us men, okay? So it says, and that right grievousness which they have prescribed, all right? Talking about these fraudulent contracts, right? It says to turn aside the needy from judgment and to take away the right from the poor of my people, that widows may be their prey, okay? That widows may be their prey, okay? Talking about these women, okay? And that they may rob the fatherless, talking about the children, okay? And what will ye do in the day of visitation and in the desolation which shall come from far, talking about the destruction, okay, of Babylon. To whom will ye flee for help, and where will ye leave your glory? Okay, so enough on that, and I'm gonna get over here to this guy, and I'm gonna put this in airplane mode, and then I'm gonna come back. Okay, now, this brother, this so-called black, which is he's an Israelite, but you know, the true Israelites are the so-called black, Latinos, Native Americans of the Bible, all right? And this brother right here, all right, he ended up defeating child support, okay? It says, father beats $64,000 in arrears, gets 22-year-old child support case dismissed for extrinsic fraud with no attorney, okay? So his child support case was dismissed, okay, and his 22-year-old child support case, all right, now, it says, T.J. Tillman is a father and man of faith who turned a personal legal battle into an inspiring story of perseverance and triumph. In 2018, after a 2-year fight representing himself against child support services and the county of Los Angeles, I don't know. It's kind of edited right there. I don't know what it says afterwards, but let's see here. Let me see what I can see. It says exposing injustices within the child support system, guided by the mission to take care of them kids, though, because this is not a get out of jail free card. He seeks to promote accountability while championing fairness and reform with family law and child support system. Well, it shouldn't have to be reformed. These agencies contact the fathers to garnish wages. So the fathers are paying taxes on the job, not even getting paid full wages, because that full wage is being taxed. And then here comes this agency taking the income as well. And then a lot of times these fathers are going to jail, losing privileges like passports and driver's license, and then being jailed and even losing property, okay? Having warrants out for your arrest that they don't even know about, and then they find out when they're being pulled over that their license been suspended by this agency. They don't even understand what the agency is about, because a lot of the times these fathers have not signed anything and stood in front of a court, stood in front of a judge, all right? So that's fraud. When you look at the application for child support down at Family Services, there's only a spot for one signature, but then there's all these other areas for the father's information when the mothers are the ones applying for the benefits. Using the child's information is fraud. Using the father's information without his permission is fraud. We all know that when you get a job and apply for a job and you got references, you have to go around and get permission to use people's names before you can even use them for a reference to get a job. Okay, so that's fraud. Okay, so child support is fraud, right? Okay, so you can pause this and read about this, because this is a slideshow, but it just repeats itself, and this is the same guy. So I'm gonna let it play while I tell a little while I tell an anecdotal story real quick, because this is what got me to want to do this about this, okay? Child support is fraud, okay? So I'm a veteran, okay? And I went to the veterans office, which is at Social Services office. While I'm waiting, I took a number, and while I'm waiting, I see that these brothers, these Jakes, these so-called blacks, all right, these men, these fathers are in there for child support, right? And I noticed that the one brother was like trying to cooperate he was being summoned by one of the supervisors of child support, which is a lawyer, okay? The caseworkers at the agencies are lawyers, and these brothers don't know that. A lot of you men don't know that. This is why I explain to the men to save yourselves from these agendas and save yourselves from the Western values and everything. This society is not your friend, okay? So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at these men being waiting. They're waiting as like I'm waiting, okay? They're waiting for these so-called caseworkers that are lawyers, all right? And they're complying, not responding. They're complying, okay? The way the so-called blacks mindset operates is that if they don't know how to respond, okay? They don't respond well to traffic stops. They didn't respond well to slavery. They didn't respond well to labels. They didn't respond well to these agendas that are waged against them. They don't know how to respond. They don't respond well, okay? I had to study on how to respond, because we don't know how to respond. I'm gonna give you an example. If somebody is going into a so-called black's refrigerator without their permission, the so-called black will get upset, because they're gonna say, I didn't say that you can go on my refrigerator. But the problem is that so-called whites' mindset works differently. Okay, they have different manners. So there's something called acquiescence. Okay, acquiescence. Okay, And I might have to look this word up real quick. Let me look this word up real quick. Get back online real quick. Look this word up real quick. If I can find it. Let's see. Okay. Acquiescence. It says remain at rest. Okay. Agree. Tactically. Concur. Okay. It says become quiet. Remain at rest. Okay. Thus, be satisfied with. Okay. So it means if you don't say nothing. Okay. If you don't say nothing while somebody's going into your refrigerator, if you don't say that they can't not go in your refrigerator, that's why there's rules that say what you cannot do. Okay, because they're not going to allow a person to use the excuse of saying you didn't tell me that I could. They don't need your permission to go in if you don't tell them that they need your permission to go in your refrigerator. But as long as you sit there and don't say nothing, then they're going to continue to go into your refrigerator until you put them on notice that they are not allowed to go into your refrigerator without your permission. Okay? So that's the way this works. So anyway, I'm at the social services office, and I let the brothers know, listen, you got to take control over your name, okay? You shouldn't allow these females to use your information without your permission, okay? You shouldn't allow these females to do things with your child's information without your permission. A lot of the times these men, I keep saying it, that these mothers are doing things with these children and the fathers are not putting a stop to the women doing things without the father's permission. This Western society thinks it's wrong for a man to impose the fact that the mothers have to get permission to do things with the children. All right. When I sit back and watch how the mothers conduct themselves with the children, it's a double standard. They do things with the children that are unlawful if a man does it. Okay, and I mean these things are abuse. Okay. And I'm talking about different forms of abuse. What I'm saying is I watch how mothers raise their voice, and because they don't have leadership and they don't know how to control the households, and they really lose control over the children. And they make excuses for the child not having to be under, their control and their authority. Okay, they'll allow these children to do things, and they'll say, well, you can't control children. After a certain point, children will do what they want to do, and a lot of stuff like that, right? So, because they don't have leadership, okay, and they speak from a lack of leadership as well, okay. But let's just be short and fair here, and I don't want to get too carried away with what else I could be talking about. I want to stick to fraud, okay. You men need to start taking control over this situation with your children. Now, this guy right here, if I find it real quick, let me see here. I think he was only fighting for 50% custody. You know what I mean? And a lot of the times these, what we're going to find is that these, because he was promoting fairness, it said fairness. So it doesn't seem like he was trying to go for. He was trying to go after accountability, as far as saying that just because men are trying to shut down the unlawful practice of these agencies doesn't mean men are trying to run from their responsibilities. These agencies are actually sabotaging the relationship between the fathers because they don't bring fathers together. So that's all I wanted to put out here real quick. Men, you save yourselves from these Western agendas. Save yourselves from these Western women as well. So let me move on with my anecdotal story, and I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here because I'm really in the process of going somewhere. all right? I'm traveling on the road while I'm doing this content real quick, hands-free. So I explained to these brothers how to do it, right? Which I'm not going to explain how to do it here on this internet. And then when I left the social services office, I went to go get some petrol for my vehicle. And when I'm at the damn gas station, I walk into the gas station, I see a so-called black woman, Eve. I see an Eve in there. She works at Burger King. Burger King is attached to the Shell gas station while I'm getting my petrol. Then the Shell gas station employee and the janitor are all Israelites, so-called blacks. And there's a discussion taking place while I walk in. I walk in like towards the middle of the conversation. The female was saying how she's only left with $60. That's what she said. She was talking about child support, how after child support, she's only left with $60 whenever her baby father pays his child support. And then the males were actually talking about how they're not left with anything as well when they pay child support. So here she is complaining about not receiving enough, and these males are talking about how they're not left with much after they pay child support. So I'm listening to this, and I got to walk in between them on my way to the restroom because I was walking in between them on the way to the restroom. So when I get in between them, I stop on my way to the restroom, and I say, y'all having an interesting conversation. And I was talking to the Eve, and I said, well, you're complaining about only receiving $60 when the child will receive more if the child was in the father's custody. And then I said, a lot of men, I don't suggest men contribute to a female's household that doesn't want to be with the father no more. I don't agree with supporting a female that doesn't want to be with me anymore, okay? And I'm not doing it for the sake of the child if the child is not being raised by me. And I'm not leaving a child anything when like in my insurance policy, if I pass away, if I wasn't raising that child either as well. Because these mothers have to learn to be providers if that's what they want to be, providers, right? So, which they're not providers naturally. And I mean like providing for the child after the child is grown. This is what the fathers are for, and this is why I was having this conversation with these individuals when I pulled over at this gas station. So she said, well, what if the father, I said, well, she said, well, what if the father doesn't want to be with me? And I said, it doesn't matter who doesn't want to be with who. The child needs to be with the natural provider, which is the father. It doesn't matter. So, and I get that there's a lot of men out here who lack leadership, but those same females will still deal with those men on a sexual basis, even though there's no children involved. So they don't complain about those men not being fatherly while they're dealing with them without children being involved, okay? But I'm gonna digress. So again, who's responsible or who's that natural provider the children need to be with? The men are really like, I'm trying to get the men to save the children from the females, because the children are being brought up without the fathers being involved in the lives of the children, and they don't have direct input, and the values of the children are just Western, and we have to change this norm that's taking place within these so-called black communities that are just comprised of the black church and the so-called black woman and children, all right, without leadership and structure. We don't need programs and stuff like that for children that don't involve the fathers having some type of input in the child's upbringing. So child support is fraud, and I think it's a good thing. Now, this guy right here, if you pause it, I think he has a link where you can contact this guy for services. Let me see, where's it at? I thought it was on here. I thought it was on here. If you pause it, I thought he had some link on here. In 2022, Lionel expanded his impact by self-publishing his debut book, How I Stopped Child Support Legally. So I guess there's a book, I don't know, but it says through his work, he continues to empower others for knowledge, resources. I don't know. I guess you can contact him maybe on social media. But I thought this was interesting that the brother shut down child support. And like I was explaining at the gas station, I thought it was interesting that the so-called black woman, she couldn't see that the child should be with the natural provider because they don't. The black female, she doesn't see herself as not being a natural provider. Okay, they're trying to achieve this provider thing, but it's really just maintaining. Okay, providing is like providing the children with what's theirs. But anyway, child support is fraud. Okay, and that's what I was explaining to these brothers. The brothers, a light bulb goes off on these brothers, over these brothers' heads. So like I was explaining to these people at the gas station, I told the so-called black woman that child support is fraud, and she said, oh, once I explained that the application and the process of providing the agency with the men's information without his consent is fraud, and if I opened up a credit card in another person's name, right, and that person received the bill and they're foolish enough to pay the bill, and they don't realize that's fraud, and I applied for a credit card in somebody else's name, or it's fraud if I get pulled over by a police officer and using somebody else's information, right? Okay, so the females don't realize that. And this is why when I go back to Deuteronomy 4 and 3, let me get that real quick. Check it out. Wait a moment. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Okay? I got to keep going. Let me see. Serpent, it says, God have said, it says, and the serpent said unto the woman, ye shall not surely die, for God doth know that in that day, that ye, in the day that ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be opened, and ye shall be as gods, knowing good and evil. Okay, so Eve is being seduced, okay, by the serpent, and this is what the West has done to the so-called black woman again. She keeps contracting with the enemy, okay? So it says, and the woman said unto the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees in the garden, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God have said, ye shall not eat of it, neither shall ye touch it, lest ye die. Okay, so we're going to die if we continue to allow our children to become wards of the state, because the so-called black woman who signs up for benefits with social services, she becomes a ward of the state, and that's why the state gets to take control over our children, and then the fathers don't have any say-so over whether they have custody over their children, or whether they can, have their children to themselves, right? Every time I see these children, you know, with their fathers, or like when I used to go visit my child, you know, it was always like, oh, well, you know, she got school in the morning. Well, you know, you're supposed to be the teacher, and this is why a lot of times, well, this is why these children don't stand a chance with their fathers, because and the majority of the time they're at these schools instead of being at home with the teachers, with the parents as the teachers. Okay, the mothers are supposed to be the teachers. Okay, if I have children, the way that I saw it is having children and the wife being the teacher. Okay, but these so-called Western females are illiterate and they don't go to school to teach to the children. Okay, they don't go to school to teach to the children. They send these children to these schools, and the children are at these schools all day, and then the values of the West are what the children are learning about. Okay, this is why I say black people are nothing but, black people's values are nothing more than so-called whites' values. Okay, they share the same values. Okay, they have the same values. So-called blacks have the same values of so-called whites. I'm not American, and my values are not Western. Okay, like I said, I was into the Shemitic law growing up, so we were already not taught paganism. We weren't taught paganism and Western traditions. You know, I wasn't raised to celebrate birthdays and holidays and stuff like that. But that's what these children are learning and growing up. That's what they're doing. They're learning paganism through their mothers. Okay, and that's all they're learning. That is literally all they're learning. Okay, so I just wanted to put this out there real quick, because I thought that was important. You know what I'm saying? Give me 1 minute. What's up, brother? All right, brother. Which one you want? Okay. You too, bro. But yeah, so that's all I wanted to make this about, because I thought it was a beautiful thing when I saw that there's finally a brother, you know, even though he's, you know, I don't even know what his beliefs are and all of that. I just saw this article. I don't even know. Okay. But I thought this was a beautiful thing that somebody actually noticed that, you know, child support is fraud over here in the West. This is just another one of those, you know, agendas that are waged against us over here behind enemy lines here in America. Okay, so with that, I'm gonna say shalom, and again, I want to thank all of my subscribers. I want to especially thank my 174th subscriber. I see my channel is growing, and I want to wish all of my subscribers high health and high spirits, and I want to wish that you are safe, you and your loved ones are safe, and taking the proper precautions against these agendas that are waged against us here behind enemy lines here in America, aka Babylon. This has been a Beak with another edification. Hopefully somebody's been edified. Men, save yourselves from this Western female. They're trash. Their values are trash. Save your children if you can. If you can't, then just, you know, find the right headspace to be happy without being a part of the problem. Shalom. Shalom. I wanted to add this clip to the content that I make that I'm making about the child support and how the one Jake got himself relieved of child support in Title 4D. I want to point this out with 50 Cent and his son. Back when his son Marquise was taking advice from his mother, and he was talking about how much child support his father, 50 Cent, was obligated to pay. And I made the video about providing before, and I want to make this a point that men, when looking for a woman, I would suggest that you men be sure to look for a woman that is a provider as well, because providing is not just for men. It's not just the duties of men, it's actually the duties of a wife as well. A wife is a provider as well, okay? The Western female bums don't know how to provide because they lack that skill set. And I mean providing for the child once the child becomes of age and needs to branch out on their own. Provide the child with the means to maintain a healthy life with their own house, their own land, their own vehicle. They leave the house with some money in their pocket. They leave the house with a trust account, some resources and stuff like that, right? This is stuff that these children are not doing growing up around these females, these Western female bums. So I want to point this out real quick, how Marquise, 50 Cent's son, is thinking like a female because he sounds just like his female mother, right? She's a female, not a woman, okay? He sounds like a female, so let's point this out, and then I'm going to close out.
I had to rebuild my life over $600-700 a month.
Marquise, I know you feel like that ain't a lot of money, but it's a lot of people here watching right now. And
it's
girls that's getting $200 a month child.
$600-700 a month in the state of New York City. You do the math.
Oh, I done the math. I've been in child support, bro. I went to jail for it. And if he's contributing $6,700, that means your mom's got the other half. It ain't just for him to take care of you. She got to take care of you.
If I told you right now, right?
Now let's play that back one more time, and we can listen to how we can listen to how Choke No Joke is confronting him about the amount of child support that he's receiving. And he's complaining about this amount of child support when a lot of men have suffered penalties behind this fraudulent transaction with the agencies. Okay? Salakia for the noise because I'm driving. But a lot of fathers suffer the penalties of this fraudulent transaction with this agency enforcing Title 4D extortions, okay? And I've met females who said they didn't know that the men were going to jail. Then they found out that child support can revoke the privileges of the men, the fathers. And I know there's certain cases where there's, females on child support, but I don't really care about that. I mean, the solution applies to them too. But in my case, I'm dealing with the men, okay? And I suggest that the men save themselves from this situation, because the child will resent the father as if it's natural to resent the father. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta watch how that the resentment is there, and it needs to be addressed. So the best way to address this resentment and this child support situation is for the men to see it as fraud, okay, and to deal with it as fraud, okay. But just let's listen to this child, Marquise, once again sound like a female when it comes to how much child support he's receiving. $6,700 a month in the state of New York is a sufficient amount to live off of, all right? As long as you're not trying to live above and beyond your means, even though it's expensive up there in New York, $6,700 a month is a lot. It's like he says, like $81,000 a month, a year, okay? But let's keep going.
Therefore, and if he's contributing $6,700, that means your mom's got the other half. It ain't just for him to take care of you. She got to take care of you.
If I told you right now, right, I had to rebuild my life over the 60.
Choke no joke told him, he says, it's not just on your father to take care of you, it's on your mother. But we're talking about providing, and females want to receive the providing. They don't want to do the providing. Western females want men to be their providers. A woman that does not want to have children doesn't deserve to be married, okay? Marriage is only for family. Family is defined by children, okay? Being a part of two parents and under one roof, okay? So marriage is not, I don't recommend marriage if there's no children about to be had. And I don't mean somebody coming with children. I don't mean the woman coming with children and the men being stepdads. That's not a marriage. Don't marry to be a stepdad either. If the woman is not trying to give birth to the seed of the new husband, then there's no point in being married in the West. You do not, in the West, we us men do not have to be married to have any experiences with these Western females or these women, right?